Hi everybody, lots to update you on. As you can tell, I'm in a different room, different house completely. I'm back with my mom. My health really needed me to be back with mom. I'm going to paint some angels while we talk. This is a little, they were not a 3-set when I bought them. I bought them individually. I am getting a booth space here in town at a market, antiques and thrift market, and I'm going to put in my work there, and I will sell anything that they want online. I'm trying to raise money. I moved back in with mom, like I said, and we're going to do home repairs, and I want to help my friend who's got a terminal diagnosis. She's been fighting stage 4 pancreatic cancer. They give her 10 months. I can't do much, but if I sell anything, I'm going to give her some of it, whether she likes it or not. But like I said, I'm doing this also so that I can just little extra money and maybe use from, this is my house too. I'm back with my mom at my grandparents' old house in St. Clair. It's been in our house for 3 generations. We are the only owners that's ever had this house. Grandpa bought it. It was a show place, and he got it from the company that they were going to sell it because they were doing different models. It's a modular home on a foundation, and so he bought the show home. It's been in my family since my mom was in 9th grade, and she's 69 now. So, when my grandpa passed, he left half to me, half to mom. So we're fixing it up. Little at a time. We have plans. And she set up a whole back room, the back bedroom. There's the whole closet. It's a huge closet. So I got storage. I've got a TV I can set up. And in that thing, we made a dog bed. It's too big. Archie's too big for it. But then we've got my office desk, another craft area, so I can have guests who want to craft come over. So my friend Ann is going to come when she feels good enough. And after my friend Carrie gets done with her move, she wants to be involved in this. So I'm going to pay for the booth fee and try to just make a go of it. If you want anything you've seen me do in the past, or you see me do in the future, my contact information is going to be in the comments. I will make sure it's in the comments. So right now I'm working on these angels, and I thought I would see if I can get you, I wanted to give you some updates and see if I can get you arranged. How's that? I think that'll do. I just have to be careful. Now, as you can see, I've already started on these. All right. When you're using your wash water, you can use anything. Now, the reason why I'm using this glass jar is because I have put some paintbrush cleaner in it. And so I'm using glass instead of plastic. That was suggested by a friend of mine who is part of my art group, which will be starting up again. Yay! So there's things to do like that, but I was going to put this little angel with them, this bigger one, and have the others kind of just around her. But I'm not so sure how that would look. You know, I'm not sure if I like that or not. I think she's just the wrong type of angel. She's the wrong look to her for me. Now, these 3 I bought individually, but I'm selling them as a set once I get them. I've already done their skin and some of the gold. I've done some of the outlining. It's easier for me to do some of the outlining first because then I can, if I mess it up, I can cover it up. I'm going to try 2 tone colors on the wings. Each one's going to have a different tone color to it. What I'm going to start with, and I think I've got the eyes Don't forget when you're doing eyes to do the pupils. Now see, there's no pupils there. There's no white dot in the center. So I got to do that. Or black dot or whatever. But I did do the eyebrows. And that took forever. I kept redoing the eyebrows till I was happy with them. I used a toothpick to do the eyes and the eyebrows, okay? So you can use any piece of wood, toothpicks. I've got a piece of wood I keep in my... And this is just a piece of wood. And it's off a dowel or something. And I keep it in my paintbrush tray, because when I want to mix paints, I don't like doing that with my brushes. So that's why. I have a project I saw on Pinterest that I'm playing with. Let me show you. See these two boards? That's only the first coat. I'll smooth them out. But I'm going to play around with putting decorations on those using window clings and turn them into little hang-ups. And this is what it was to start with. Just a little $1.25 canvas thing from Dollar Tree. I try to keep my costs kind of down because I don't want to charge people a ton of money. You know what I mean? In this day and age, we don't have a ton of money. I was going to do the hair, but I think I'm going to start down below on this one. You see, there's kind of a, let me get something to point with. He's sitting on like stones, and there's some stones here. So I'm going to use a silver. Now this is metallic silver. And one of the tricks with stones, if you're painting something to look like a stone, if you look at a stone, even the ones in your driveway, they're going to have a bit of a shine to them. They shine in the light. I used to love to pick up quartz and stuff when I was a kid. So don't be afraid to add a little glitter to your gray or your brown. Now, when you're adding a glitter to a solid color like that, make sure it's the appropriate color of glitter. You can use a clear glitter, but I like silver. I use a silver glitter. And don't put a ton. You just want it to kind of catch the light a little bit. But sometimes you don't want the glitter to be a huge amount of the piece. Sometimes you just want to catch the light. Because some people, they don't like glitter. I don't know what's wrong with those people. But here's what I did. I went and used my metallic. Here again. Let me move you just a second. Metallic silver. I use a lot, so I got a big bottle. And then if you don't have access to Walmart or something, go to the Dollar Tree or this one's from Dollar General. They have, this is what I used. I just put some silver glitter in there, but I didn't put a lot because I just want it to catch the light a little bit. You don't want to worry about having, now see, I have a habit of smearing things like that. Don't worry about mistakes like that. That'll come off and finish painting. But I'm not using a detail brush because they're packed. And I don't have one unpacked that's the right size. So until I find them, this is going to have to work. Because I want to put these up for sale as soon as I get that booth open. Or sell it to any one of you online or whatever. The dogs are out in the playpen. If you're hearing them bark, we've got a big playpen outside. Well, I like to call it a playpen. We've got a big fenced-in area outside for the dogs. And they are barking at my mother, who's doing yard work. My mother is like my grandfather. She doesn't like to be still. My sister and I are the same way. We all got a good work ethic from my grandfather. But none of us do sitting still real well. Now, see, I think that's a flower. I think. Yeah. Looks like there might be a flower right there. I'm not exactly sure if there is or not. And that's up to you. Even if there's not and you want a flower on your rock, so paint some moss on the rock. You know. And look at shadow. And a good way to look at shadow is what I've done here. I've got a lamp. I've got a lamp shining on my work. Now, can you see, however I sit this, it's going to have some shadow because I use the lamp as sun. So that's where the sun is hitting that. So it can show me, like right there, that's going to be shaded a little differently because it's in a shadow. So if you don't know where the sun would hit your work, and you're not sure how to add shadows into your work, turn on a light. Okay? And you want to do the shadows. You want to add that in a whole nother step. Get all your base painting done. That's going to be coming back on a more detailed paint. You have, in my view, several ways to paint. You do your primer, which means some pieces need a primer because of the way they were made. Let me give you an example. I shall sum up. This is adorable. But this was made and fired black. So it was made black. I'm not sure if it was fired or not, but it's black. So this is going to need a primer, a gray primer, before I start painting it, where that black's going to bleed through. So you got to be aware of that. When you're painting, you got to be aware of your piece may need a primer. If you're using regular water, you don't got to worry about it. Just be aware when you clean your brushes. If you're using a regular water cup, it's going to stain the cup. So make sure it's something you don't mind getting stained. If you've added a brush cleaning solution to your water, I would suggest you clean, unless you've got a certain cup or something that you clean your brushes with. You might want to be careful. If I'm using a brush cleaning solution, I usually use glass, which is why in this water is a brush cleaning solution. So because my brushes have been packed up, I do have some brush cleaning solution, but I have to order that off of Amazon, and I haven't ordered any more lately. Sometimes you're going to need to move your camera. That's what you're going to need, Joe. Sometimes you're going to need to tip your work. If I leave it just like this and don't paint it, there's a missing painted spot, and you can barely see it. But to me, those are details that might be noticed, whether you like it or not. So I'm going to go for the smaller brush. This is a little bit smaller. And dip it in, and I'm not going to cover a lot of paint on this. I just want a barest tip. And you just see I got it on her leg. That's fine. I'm just trying to get the rocks back in here. And you're saying, Tanya, they won't notice that. If you paint with that attitude, then your painting won't look right. Because they're going to see it subconsciously. They might go, something just don't look right with that statue. Or I don't know why, but I just don't like that. Now, I'm not saying everybody's going to be that detailed, but there are people out there that are like that, and they may not know why they don't like it, but maybe they've seen something subconsciously that it just doesn't look like a finished work. Now see, we got that gray on there. There are flowers on here on the bottom, so we are going to paint those, but it's going to wait for detail painting. That's right before you do your cleanup paint. So the first level of painting an object is a primer, if it's needed, which usually I use a gray or white, but primer. And then you start your base painting, which is the skin tone, if you're doing a human, or the larger painted areas. If you're doing something else like a tree stump, do your larger areas first. Leave all your small detail work. Get all the large areas, and then come in after that's had an overnight dry, and then do your details. The only time I don't do it that way is the eyes. I do those as soon as I can, because the longer I hold a paintbrush, the shakier I'm going to get. So I try to do small detail like the eyes when I'm first got a hold of my paintbrush so I don't shake. But now, see, that's me having to work around my disability. And don't say, my disability is I just can't paint. Well, then you sure can't, because you got that attitude of can't. Don't give yourself an attitude of can't. This is my second friend who's got terminal cancer in less than 2 years. But one thing I told both of them is we're all dying. Life is a fatal disease. Never, even if you've got that kind of a diagnosis, don't let yourself live there, And you've got someplace to live. Maybe not where you want to be, but you've got a place to live. You've got something to do. You've got people to talk to. You've got food. We have people that fought for our country and they don't even have all that, or just not everybody has that luxury. So just be grateful no matter where you are in life for everything you've got. And do it maybe once a day. Instead of saying, I can't. Thank you for letting me be able to do blank. Give yourself a blessing time, period, in your life, in your day. If you write down a list, which is going to be longer, the I can't or the I can't, it's easier to think negative. Why? Because that's what we're getting practice of. So get yourself in the practice of being positive. You know what my friend says? When you tell her I'm sorry, she says, I'm not. I've been waiting a long time to go home. I just want to make sure my family's taken care of. And she's right. If she can have such a good attitude with what she's facing, what's y'all's excuse? What's my excuse? I ain't got one. I got a place to live. My dogs, which are my kids, have room to run, room to bark. Neighbors that are understanding that little dogs, no matter what time of the night they see you, they're going to go roof, 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 because they've got a little dog too. Which is part of the reason Tilly's getting fixed. Because they've got a little boy dog her size. We are not going there. Puppies, no way. Now, I wanted to teach you a trick I use. You see how the light is shining from the lamp on the statue? Do you see where there's shadows right through here? If you want to add detail of depth to your work, turn on a light and that'll be the direction the sun is coming from. Then you can add in shadow details. Maybe something right here is a little darker because that's where the shadow, how the sun would have been hitting that piece. Like right here, this part of the leg is darker. This part of the rock will be darker. So add in some brown right there or some mossy green would be really good. To add depth to your work, add shadows. And then I like to keep my lamp to the side instead of straight on like I had it at the apartment, because the sunlight I like to use my lamp as my sun. So it tells me later where I can add shadows to my work to give it a little more depth. When you're painting something, and yes, I bounce around topics. My friends kind of laughingly call it Tanya thinking, because they don't always understand how I'm thinking of one topic to the other. I have a bit of autistic-like symptoms, and that kind of helps me bounce around like a bouncy ball when it comes to my thinking. So bear with me if you can't figure out why I'm jumping topics. Just roll with it. Now, see, when you just barely... I did this because I caught sight of the light. That's where my topic is running from. When you barely brush the top with your lighter color, then you can go in... See, just like that, light gray. Get some more on our brush. We're going to just barely brush it across the top. Don't go in any of the crevices or anything. Now, the lamp is shining a shadow right there. So we could do a darker gray right there, or a moss green or some brown right there to act as the shadow. And that might give your painting a little bit more depth. Okay? You're seeing me still paint it gray because I want a base coat. Even when your rocks have a shadow, they have a lot of different colors in a rock. Pick it up and look, just look at your rocks. Instead of just not even thinking about it, pick up a rock and just look at it. And look at all the different colors that come into play on a rock. You don't think about that until you go to paint it. That's why I add a little glitter into my silver. Because when I was a kid, I remember picking up rocks for fun. And I always liked to pick up the ones that had a little shimmer and light. And all rocks have a little bit different taste to them. When God painted them, he used his color palette, I think. God had fun when he played with the crayons. That's my personal opinion. God's a painter. Kind of like Bob Ross. Happy little trees. And I'm not going deep on this one because this one's going to have a lot more shadows at the back. So I'm going lightly to put a little bit of the gray in there, but I want this one to be a little more darker. A little more darker, great English. See right there? There's a shadow. So that's going to be a darker color. So maybe the back side of this rock hasn't been facing the sun. And maybe the back side of this rock has been kind of in the shadows. So he's going to be a little different color because he hasn't been bleached out by the sun. Now sometimes I do a lot of painting at one time. Sometimes I don't. I'm going to put these aside and we're going to wait until their rocks dry a little. Don't forget to clean your brushes. Do not leave paint in your brushes. When you're cleaning your brushes, make sure you get right here at the base of the brush because that's where your paint can dry, right there, and can ruin a brush. So make sure your paint brushes are clean. And don't just sit them in the water because it can rot them. I mean, detail brushes, last time, a couple of years ago, I was at Michael's for a detail brush. And it was like $8, $6 to $8 without tax. Just for one brush, one detail brush. So you want to treat your belongings with care because, you know, they're expensive. Now, this is a color I had to start ordering online. Well, not the orange. I bought that orange on purpose for something at Halloween. But this is metallic brown. This one is called Pearl Deep Brown. I get it from Amazon. Walmart no longer carries this color. So this will be another color I'm going to add into the rocks. This is going to be my shadow color. I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to go over here and grab a non-metallic color. Maybe I'll grab a nice deep green. And I'll mix just a touch of this in with the brown. And I'm not going to mix it. I want it to look like moss. So these are going to be my colors for the shadow. I might also grab some gunmetal gray. So the gunmetal gray I'll have to find it. Gunmetal gray is a metallic. So I've got my metallics sorted in a different pile, but I haven't. I was going to say I haven't found it. Here's the gunmetal gray. These are going to be my shadow colors. So not all going to be mixed in a pile, okay? These are going to be used on different pieces of the rock to create shadows. Alright, that's going to be the next video. Now, I know I promised you to finish the geisha that we were painting several videos back, several months back. But I haven't found her yet. I know she's packed up. As soon as I can find her, we will finish the geisha girl as well. But that's today's painting. Next time, we will do the shadow work when this is all complete. Bye, guys.